Two men in uniforms stepped out of a black SUV with no official markings, no siren, no call-in, just lights, attitude, and nerves of steel. I glanced at the clock. 12:14 a.m. Emily stirred upstairs. I heard her creak the floorboard outside her room. Quiet, careful. I signaled her with my hand to stay put, then opened the door halfway. Sir, we're with the HOA Enforcement Division. We've had multiple reports of non-compliance with neighborhood safety protocols. Step aside. One of them flashed a badge, the kind you'd find at a Halloween store, shiny, oversized, 0 federal code. I didn't blink. You boys always do late-night inspections? The taller one squinted at me. We'll ask the questions. Failure to comply may result in citation or removal. Citation or removal. That's not even legal HOA language, but I played dumb. Oh, yeah, sure, come in, I guess. Let me just grab my wallet. I stepped back slowly, leaving the door cracked open. Inside, Emily was crouched behind the staircase, eyes wide, clutching her phone. I gave her a tiny nod. She stayed, frozen. The two men walked in like they owned the place. Flashlights out, looking around. I noticed their posture first too stiff, like they'd watched a cop show and memorized how real officers move. One tapped at the thermostat on my wall. The other glanced toward the hallway. I asked, what violation are we talking about exactly? The tall one said, failure to maintain approved HOA lighting and suspected unauthorized modifications to the security system. Now that made me laugh inside. That's what this was about, my new porch camera. But I kept my face blank. I wanted them comfortable. Let me get my ID. I'll be right back, I said. I turned down the hall.com, as ever. Inside, I was already calculating. Mismatched boots, Velcro patches instead of sewn. One called the other sergeant, but he didn't act like one. No body cams, no partner check, no dispatch radio. And then there was the code he mentioned earlier. Violation 1 for B subsection 3. That's not a real ordinance. Not even in HOA terms. And I would know, because I've spent 15 years dealing with real violations. Felonies, narcotics, gun running, human trafficking. And I didn't do that as a victim. I did it as an undercover FBI agent. Yeah, that part. They didn't know yet. They thought I was just some widowed homeowner with a teenage daughter and a weird habit of fixing his porch lights at midnight. They thought I was scared, and that was their biggest mistake. I walked calmly into my office, opened the drawer beneath the printer, and flipped a switch hidden under the desk. In one click, the security system came online, every angle recorded, streaming straight to cloud backup. Then I picked up my old phone, the one I hadn't used since walking away from the bureau, still fully charged, still connected to a line no civilian would know about. I dialed a number from memory. As it rang, I could hear them whispering back near the kitchen. One said, "You sure he's the right guy?" The other responded, "Linda said yes, he's the one. Just scare him." Linda, of course, HOA President Linda Hargrave, the self-appointed queen of the neighborhood. She'd been on me since day one. First it was about my grass being an inch too tall. Then my daughter's basketball hoop. Then the porch camera. All petty, all calculated, but this wasn't HOA anymore. This was impersonating a federal officer. This was criminal. The line picked up. A gravelly voice said, "Carter? Yeah, I've got 2 imposters in my house. Badges? Fake. Vehicle? Unmarked," said their HOA enforcement. Pause. Then, "You rolling tape?" "Already rolling." Another pause. "We'll handle the back end. Don't tip your hand yet." I hung up, breathed deep, the kind of breath you take before a takedown. Walking back toward the living room, I slowed down my steps. I could feel my heart pounding, but it wasn't fear. It was that familiar edge. The one I thought I left behind. Emily was still tucked under the stairs, staring at me like I was walking into a lion's den. I winked at her. She didn't smile, but I saw her shoulders relax just slightly. Then I turned the corner, locked eyes with the taller one, and said, "Give me a second. I need to get my wallet." A month before that midnight knock, all I wanted was silence. No noise, no alarms, no one tailing me, asking questions, or keeping a hand near their hip like they didn't trust me. Just peace. That's why I bought the place. 3 bedrooms, solid fencing, nice little creek out back where Emily could paint or read. It wasn't fancy, but it felt clean. Safe. We moved in on a Thursday. By Friday morning, she showed up. I was still hauling boxers when I saw her. Linda Hargrave, HOA president. 50-something, high ponytail, pulled too tight, clipboard in hand like it was a badge. She didn't knock. Just stood at the edge of my driveway, scanning everything. Mailbox, paint color, grass height, even the solar lights along the path. "You must be Alex," she said, like she already knew everything. "We like to keep things regulated here." I wiped my hands on my jeans. Didn't realize I needed clearance to unload boxes. She forced a laugh that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Oh, you're funny. We just like to stay ahead of ... small issues. Preventive measures." She handed me a printed welcome packet, thick, plastic bound, full of rules in 10-point font. Before I could ask anything, she was already pointing things out. "Your mailbox isn't regulation black. That'll need to be replaced. I blinked. It's a mailbox, yes, but it's not our approved mailbox. Does it not deliver mail? She smiled. That's not the point. And with that, she turned and walked off. Just like that. No goodbye. No enjoy your new home. Just a warning shot, wrapped in pleasantries. The next morning, I had a citation taped to my door. Violation number 1 to be trash can visible from the street at 7:01 a.m. Emily held it up. Did they time this with a stopwatch? A day later, violation number 8. See rain barrel not approved by HOA. Then it was improper flag placement. Then mailbox still not. Then basketball hoop in driveway. 5 notices. 1 week, I started noticing the neighbors 2 heads down. Quick waves. Doors closed faster than they opened. The guy across the street, Marcus, would nod politely but never linger. It felt off. One night, Emily came downstairs and said, "Dad, everyone calls you the new problem guy at school." I looked up from the table. What? Yeah, their parents told them stuff, but we don't follow rules. That you're some kind of troublemaker. I didn't say anything, just stared at the plate in front of me like it might answer for me. She said, "Can I transfer to another school?" My chest tightened, not because she wanted to leave, but because I knew exactly what she was feeling. Isolation, blame, suspicion, all things I'd felt in the bureau when I worked deep cover. It's the same game, just smaller stakes. Same rules, though: intimidate, isolate, then control. I didn't want to fight. God, I really didn't. I'd spent too many years doing that, wearing wiretaps under sweat-soaked shirts, slipping fake names into real crime families, watching people disappear, and pretending it didn't wreck me. So I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked out the window at Linda's perfectly trimmed hedge, her car parked with surgical precision, her American flag hanging exactly 3 inches below the gutter line. Then I said, "Emily, you're not the problem, and neither am I." She nodded, but I could tell she didn't believe it. Not yet. That night, I pulled out a notepad and started writing. Every violation, every interaction, every phrase. She repeated, especially the ones that sounded memorized. Pattern recognition. That's what we called it in the field. And Linda, she had a pattern, one that felt less like community management, and more like psychological warfare. As I logged each note, I found myself gripping the pen harder than I meant to. My jaw was clenched, my breathing shallow. That's when it hit me. I left the bureau for a reason. I didn't want to fight anymore, but this wasn't just an HOA problem. This was control, and I don't do well with control. The first fine was $25, a warning. Basically, the second one jumped to $75, then $200, then $500. All in 2 weeks. The offenses: a non-compliant roof, shingle color, which hadn't changed since the day I moved in, obstructed view of the sidewalk from landscaping, which just meant my hedge grew a little, and failure to address prior violations in a timely fashion, whatever that meant. By week 3, I owed $1,475 to the HOA, and Linda made sure everyone knew it. The monthly board meeting was held in the clubhouse. Think fluorescent lighting, stale cookies, fake smiles, and way too many clipboards. I didn't want to go, but I showed up. In jeans and a t-shirt, quiet, watching. Linda sat at the head of the table like it was a throne. Her minions: Vice President Carl, Secretary Janet, and a man everyone just called Trevor with zero clue what he actually did, nodded, like bobbleheads. She cleared her throat. "We have a repeat offender on our hands, and if we allow one homeowner to disregard policy, what happens next?" Carl answered like it was rehearsed. "Chaos." Linda smiled. "Exactly." Then she looked right at me. "Mr. Carter, do you have something to say for yourself?" I stood up slowly. My palms were in my pockets, but my posture was still straight. Old habits. I didn't realize using a rain barrel was an act of war. Snickers. Some people looked away. One woman mouthed, "I'm sorry." Linda kept smiling, but her voice turned sharper. "You've demonstrated a consistent refusal to abide by community standards. Our board is within its rights to initiate proceedings for forced compliance." I tilted my head. "Is that legal?" She didn't answer directly, just turned to Janet. "Add that to the record, please." The meeting moved on. I didn't, because something deeper was going on. The precision, the escalation, the way she used HOA policy like it was a scalpel, slicing away freedom an inch at a time. Back home, Emily watched me pacing. "Dad, why not just pay it?" I stopped. "Because if I pay it, I validate it. I'm not funding their power trip." She sat on the couch, hugging her knees. "They'll just keep going." I didn't answer right away. I was staring at the fine print of one of the letters. It had a footer: policy adjusted, March 18th. That was 3 weeks after I moved in. She changed the rules just to hit me with them. That night, a letter arrived. No return address. Typed. Cold. It read, "You are being monitored. Continued defiance may result in escalated action. HOA security protocol is authorized." HOA security. There's no such division in any legal HOA charter. I showed it to Emily. She said, "That's not normal." "No," I said, "it's not." I took the letter to a contact in county records. Off the books. Name withheld. She looked it over, then pulled up a file. Your HOA filed a request last year to create a community enforcement team. It was denied twice. But they're acting like it passed. She nodded because most people don't. Check, which meant this wasn't just bullying anymore. This was fraud, and they'd built the whole operation on the assumption that no one would question them, until me, back home. The fines kept coming. One said I had to pay a $300 fee because my porch light bulb was too warm in hue. I wish I was joking. Neighbors avoided me like I had a disease. Even Marcus stopped waving. Then one night, while taking out the trash, I heard something behind the fence. Whispers. Footsteps. A flashlight flicked on for a second, then vanished. I froze, then calmly walked back inside. Didn't run, didn't look scared. Instead, I checked my external cams. Nothing but my porch camera. Offline. Someone had tampered with it. I replaced it the next morning, then installed 3 more. Hidden ones. Linda might have played her hand first, but I had cards she didn't know about. FBI-grade surveillance equipment doesn't need to be visible. It just needs to work. And from that moment on, I stopped reacting. I started collecting. Every threat, every fine, every whisper, because this wasn't about a mailbox or a porch light or even the damn rain barrel. This was about pushing. They thought I'd break, but they were wrong, because I wasn't just a homeowner trying to start over. I was a federal agent who'd spent his life studying lies, intimidation, and the way small men puff up when they think no one's watching. And now, I was watching everything. It started with a knock. Sharp. Measured less. 12:14 alta mai. Was already half awake. That feeling again, like something was off, pressing against the edges of the night. Emily was asleep. Finally, I crept to the front window and pulled the curtain. A sliver. To men. Dark uniforms. No cruiser. Just a black SUV with aftermarket lights flashing red against my porch. I opened the door halfway. One of them stepped forward. Tall, maybe early 40s. The kind of build that says gym membership, not training academy. "Mr. Carter?" he asked, shining a flashlight at my chest. "We're with HOA security enforcement. We've had reports of non-compliance. We need to conduct a visual inspection of the property." HOA security enforcement. I blinked, pretending to be confused. "At midnight, standard protocol for urgent escalations," the other one said. Shorter, bulkier, glove bulge at his hip. Could have been a baton. Maybe not. I opened the door a little wider. "Let me grab my ID." Inside, Emily was peeking from the top of the stairs. I mouthed, "Stay." She vanished. Back in my office, I activated the full surveillance suite. Audio, video, front and rear angles. Cloud backup. Then I pulled open the old phone. One button. Direct line. My contact picked up after one ring. I said 2 words. "They're here," he replied. "Running plate now. Don't engage yet." I returned to the hallway. The 2 officers were already inside. No permission, no warrant. One shining his light into the hallway, the other snooping near my family photos. "Sir," the tall one barked, "we need you to step back." I raised my hands, just trying to cooperate. His badge flashed in the light. Wrong font. Wrong seal. Crooked. They didn't expect me to notice, but I noticed everything. Wrong tactical boots. No radio, no shoulder cam. No body language of real law enforcement. I asked, "Mind telling me what code I violated?" "HOA violation 1 for B security system interference." That's not even a real clause. I tilted my head. "And where's that written?" "You'll receive documentation by mail," the short one said. He was sweating now, nervous. I stepped toward them, slowly. "You know what I think?" They looked at each other. I smiled. "I think Linda Hargrave got real tired of me not bending, and now she's sending in amateurs to play tough guy." The tall one narrowed his eyes. "We're authorized." "Cool," I said, nodding, "because I'm authorized too." I pulled out my old bureau badge, the real one. Their eyes widened. The shorter one took a step back. "You're bluffing," the tall one said. "Am I?" Just then, my phone buzzed. I didn't even look, just said, "The vehicle you parked outside is registered to a private security company, which is currently under federal investigation for impersonating officers across 3 states. Silence. You 2 just committed a federal crime. On camera, inside a federal agent's home. Want to rethink your next move?" They froze, then bolted. I didn't chase. I closed the door. Locked it. Emily came down the stairs, eyes wide. "Who were they?" I crouched down, placed a hand on her shoulder. "Fake cops. But they're gone." She looked like she was trying not to cry. "They could have what if you weren't home?" I nodded, jaw tight. "That's why they came tonight." That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office, watching the footage, rewinding, playing again. They came in like they owned the place, but now I owned the evidence. And Linda, she just crossed the line. This wasn't HOA anymore. This was war. Next morning, I didn't mow the lawn. I didn't trim the hedge or fix the non-compliant flagpole. I brewed my coffee, sat on the porch, and waited. At 8:03 a.m., right on cue, Linda Hargrave strutted down the sidewalk like she owned the sunrise, clipboard in hand, joggers so tight they could have been painted on. Behind her, Carl the yes-man, and Trevor, whose only job seemed to be nodding on command. She stopped at the edge of my yard and squinted. "You have until noon to respond to the latest security violation, Mr. Carter," she said. "Your refusal to cooperate is endangering the community." I sipped my coffee. "Security violation," I repeated. "You mean the two armed thugs who broke into my house last night?" Her face didn't twitch. Too practiced. "I'm afraid I don't know what you're referring to," she said. "Of course not." She handed me a notice. "I didn't even read it, you know." I said, "It's weird, because the federal database now has footage of them inside my home, flashing fake badges, saying they were here under HOA authority." Trevor flinched. Linda didn't, but her grip on the clipboard tightened. "You're making very serious accusations," she said. "I am," I replied. "But you know what's funny? You've been breaking the law for months. Fake fines, unauthorized, code enforcement, mail tampering, surveillance, impersonating law enforcement." Carl stepped forward. "That's uncalled for." I stood up, calm as ever. "And what's really interesting is that you just handed me a letter. That makes it federal." Linda blinked. "That's right," I said. "HOA correspondence, claiming law enforcement authority, backed by criminal action, becomes mail fraud. Interstate, and it's on camera now." Trevor looked like he might pass out. Linda leaned in. "You think threats will work on me?" "Nope," I said. "But facts will." And with that, I walked inside. Not another word, because this wasn't the time for more talking. It was time to flip the switch. That afternoon, I made 2 calls. First, to my old friend in Bureau Legal, then to a neighbor, not Marcus. He was still too scared. I called Ann Quiet. Early 60s, lived 2 blocks over. Retired school teacher. She'd once whispered to me at a mailbox. She made my grandson cry. Over a flag placement, Ann had files, notes, photocopies, HOA letters from years back with suspicious fee hikes and conveniently timed rule changes. She came over with a shoebox full of evidence. "This isn't just you, Alex," she said. "It's been going on for years. People were just afraid to push back." I wasn't. That night, I sent an anonymous tip with attachments to the county attorney, the state HOA oversight board, the IRS, and the media. Then I uploaded one more copy to a secure cloud drive only I controlled, because the best way to trap a spider is to rattle her web. The next morning, Linda sent a safety officer to my door, a guy in a windbreak, no badge, holding a clipboard. I didn't open the door. I just hit the speaker on the camera. "This conversation is being recorded by federal request. Please leave the property." He left. 3 hours later, a private security van circled the block. Unmarked, but I recognized the logo from one of the phony cops' LinkedIn profiles. Yeah, I checked by sunset. I had full movement logs, license plate snapshots, and facial matches for every member of our HOA enforcement team. And then I got the call. Bureau Legal. Encrypted line. "Your footage and documentation match a known case. We're greenlighting you to proceed, but we'll need your affidavit if this hits court." I smiled. Gladly. Because now it wasn't just me, it was the system backing me. Linda still thought I was the nail she could keep hammering down, but I wasn't the nail anymore. I was the hammer, and I was done being quiet. The HOA gala was Linda's crown jewel. Every year, she rented out the town hall, rolled out the champagne, and paraded around like suburban royalty. It was her Super Bowl, her Met Gala, and her campaign rally all rolled into one. And this year, I planned to crash it. Not with noise, not with fists, with truth. The night before, I met with Ann, Marcus, and 2 more neighbors who'd finally grown a spine after seeing the fake cops footage I shared anonymously. Of course, I laid it all out. The fines, the intimidation, the fraud. "Are we safe?" Marcus asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I nodded. "Now, yeah, because tonight, it won't just be us watching." They didn't know exactly what I meant. Not yet, but they would. I showed up to the gala in a black suit. No tie, just sharp, clean, Tom. Emily stayed home. I told her it was adults-only. Really. I just didn't want her to see what was about to happen. Inside, the hall was lit like a wedding. Faux marble columns, a cheesy string quartet, waiters with trays of shrimp skewers. Linda stood at the center like a chandelier come to life, high heels, navy gown, and that same clipboard, even tonight. She didn't see me at first. I slipped through the crowd, nodded politely, made small talk, just enough to be noticed but not remembered. Then, at 8:13 p.m., I stepped to the back of the room, pulled out my phone. Tapped play. Every projector in the room switched at once. I'd hijacked the AV system with a remote patch, thanks to a favor from a tech-savvy friend at the bureau. The screen lit up with a frozen image, Linda smirking, standing on my lawn, and the words, "Unauthorized enforcement, federal violation, #287. Double quotes, gasps." The video began to roll clear. Time-stamped footage of the 2 fake officers stepping into my house. Their voices, my calm responses, my badge reveal. Their retreat. Dead silence in the room. Then, a new clip. Linda reading off a violation letter about my light bulb color. Next to it, A highlighted paragraph from the actual state HOA regulations, proving she made up the rule. More clips, more proof. Her signature on fine letters, her edits on falsified meeting minutes. A full display of power abused. I didn't narrate a thing. The evidence spoke for itself. People started whispering. Then pointing. Carl bolted. Trevor turned ghost white and Linda. She tried to pull the plug, but I had one more surprise. Right as she reached the AV rack, the side door opened and 2 plainclothes federal agents stepped inside. Real ones, badges, out, quiet, direct. Mrs. Hargrave, one of them said, just loud enough to cut through the chaos, "We'd like a word." She froze. One heel lifted, like she'd bolt, but she didn't. She turned slowly. Clipboard still clutched like a lifeline. "You can't do this," she whispered. I stepped beside her. Calm, soft voice. "You did this to yourself." She looked at me like I'd just stabbed her. Because the thing about tyrants, they never believe the people will turn, until the people do. The next morning, every mailbox in the neighborhood had a printed notice from the interim HOA board. Had resigned. Carl was gone to Trevor. Nobody even knew where he went. But the kicker? All fines issued since January were voided. Reimbursement options available. My rain barrel. Legal again. My porch light. Shining proudly in its illegal warmth. Neighbors started waving again. Even Marcus brought over fresh pie. "I didn't think you'd win," he admitted. "I thought she was untouchable." I smiled. "They always do." At dinner, Emily asked, "Is it over?" I looked at her, calm, steady. "Yeah, it's over." She breathed out. "Can I finally have friends over again?" I laughed. "You can have the whole block, kiddo." Later that night, I sat on the porch alone. Same chair. Same view. But the weight was gone. I thought about the bureau. About how I'd left to find peace, a quiet life, somewhere to rebuild. Funny how the war followed me. But here's the thing. I didn't start this fight. They did. I just ended it. It's strange, isn't it? How something as small as a mailbox, a lawn sign, a porch light, can spark a war. I moved here to disappear, not to fight. But sometimes, you don't get to choose the battles that find you. Now, it's quiet again. No more daily notices. Number? Random flashlights in my window at night. No compliance officers doing slow drive -bys. Just quiet. Real quiet. Emily sleeps better now. She doesn't check the door 3 times before bed anymore. She started bringing friends over again. Last weekend, she had a sleepover with popcorn and scary movies and everything. I didn't say no to a single thing. She earned peace too. The neighborhood, different. Anne joined the new HOA board. She's president now. First order of business. Dismantle every fake rule Linda ever invented. Trash can timers, banned flowers, the whole lot. Gone. She's working with actual lawyers this time. Real ones, the kind who know the law and respect it. Sometimes I catch neighbors glancing at me. Not in fear, not in judgment, just a nod of recognition. A look that says, "We saw what you did, and thank you." I don't need their thanks, but I'll take the peace. A week after the gala, I got a letter. Plain envelope. No return address. Inside, a business card. FBI.nt. 3 words scribbled in the corner. Still got it? I laughed harder than I had. In months, I won't lie, thought about calling, about going back, wearing the badge again, getting in the game. But then I looked out at my porch. The neighborhood kids were riding scooters past my driveway. Emily's voice echoed from inside, yelling about homework. My coffee sat steaming beside my rocking chair, and I thought, nah, I'm good. I fought one last war, and I won. Enough. Sometimes, I walk the neighborhood at night. Just to feel it. The calm. The streetlights buzz softly. Wind rustles the trees. Crickets talk in secret code. This is the life I came looking for. It just took a little hellfire to get here. And if anyone ever tries to bring that storm back, well, they'd better knock first, because this time, I'm answering the door. As me, all of me.